Welcome back to Know Your Worth TV. This is Ephraim. I am your host of Know Your Worth TV. As I told you, we're interviewing phenomenal women that are doing phenomenal things, and we continue. It's we all the way. We've seen like 4 or 5 interviews in October. We'll do some more in November. They're that special that we just want to continue to highlight them. And then when we talk about who they are, what they do, every single time, I'm just so amazed, man. You women, you guys are so great. But today we have Miss Sandra Elidor that is going to be talking to us. She's another entrepreneur, also started a nonprofit, which she would tell us so much about. I think it's a dope conversation that people do not have. And I think it's a conversation that women should have, and not only have with other women, but have with men. And, I'm actually excited because I think I've experienced some of these things as well with my wife, and I learned so much, and I'm willing to learn so much from Miss Sandra. So, Miss Sandra, how you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I mean, another day, another dollar, but even more special now that we're here with you to get to figure out what it is about your business, the nonprofit side of things. If you could just tell us, what is the business about?
Well, first, thank you for having me. Thank you for reaching out. I really, really appreciate it. I love the
Absolutely.
opportunity to just dive in and talk about this topic. Well, like you said, my name is Sandra Elidor. I am a nonprofit founder, and my nonprofit started because of my personal story with infertility as well as miscarriage. So I'm hoping that I can bring some highlights and be able to help anyone that may be going through it or possibly going through it in the future.
No, absolutely. So you started this nonprofit. How many years, months? How long has it been since you actually started this nonprofit?
We are officially in the books as registration for a little over a year, but this has been a passion of mine for many years. And about 2 years ago was when I decided to switch it from a social media platform, regular social media platform, to an official nonprofit. I started the process about 2 years ago, and we're now this summer made us a full year.
So you're officially a 501c3.
Officially, yes.
Nice, nice. So was it always a dream to start this 501c3?
You know what? For many years, as my husband and I went through our infertility story, I always knew I had to talk about this. This is going to be at some point a conversation that I'm going to have. I didn't know how that was going to look like, but I battled to determine will it be a profit or a nonprofit.
Hmm.
But after my miscarriage, I'm like, there's no way I can charge people for this. Like, there's no way I can really charge as a coach for this because I needed those information and I didn't have access to them. And when I speak to individuals and I'm like, no, they're going through so much. So let's try to do it as a nonprofit and get founding, get grants and donation that way so we'll be able to assist them how they, and what they need.
Absolutely. And for those that are listening, if you can just describe a little bit of what it is of infertility, right? You have a lot of men that are probably listening to it that have no idea what you're speaking of. You might have some young woman that may encounter this at one day but don't know about it now. If we can kind of just tell exactly what is the background on infertility.
Well, infertility is any way that you cannot get pregnant, what we normally would call the natural way, meaning a man, woman being able to conceive and get pregnant. And we're surprised by not many people can actually go that route. It's the numbers are growing every year, especially among colors and African American women. So it's anyone that's unable to conceive the traditional route. So if you had to take medication, surgery, going through in vitro, which is IVF, IUI, not just those invasive ones, but just taking regular medication to help you conceive, that's considered part of the infertility community.
Well, I appreciate that. Appreciate it. You said you've actually had to experience this. Is this correct?
I did. I did.
And when did you find out? Was it years after trying, or is like normally, people don't know, like you said, people don't know until maybe it's that time.
Yeah.
How long was it before, you were trying that you figured out that this is what was going on with you?
Mhm. I had issue with my menstrual for many years since I was a teenager, and of course, I never knew this was going to be the cause of my infertility. I just knew that I had really bad menstrual cramps, which later on and find out 21 years later, found out it was something called endometriosis. And that caused my infertility issue. So imagine I married my high school sweetheart and we tried for a year and nothing was happening. Ended up finding out that I had endometriosis, followed by maybe 2, 3 months after that, I was told I had infertility issues. So that year was a rough one with those many diagnoses. And once we decided to, okay, we're going to try IVF, which took us a while, mentally a while because of the stigma that's attached to going through infertility treatment. I didn't want to do it because that's not something we talked about. That's not something we do. We don't want to play God.
Yeah.
And but I had the courage to talk to a couple of people and they gave me their blessing, and we learned a little bit of what we was able to find at that time, and we decided to go for it. So once we decided, that process took us about a couple of months to go through the process. And because I was at a younger age, I was 30 at that time, I believe 30, 33, and I was able to conceive my son.
When you say 30, 33, you look 30, 33 now, just letting you know.
Oh, thank
What? What do you mean? No, that's great. Congratulations, right? I mean, I
you.
know it was one of those mental type of things that you had to, it was hard,
It
right?
was.
When you have a goal of wanting to have a child and it doesn't happen in anything in life, right? When you start to do something and it doesn't go that way that you planned, it's very devastating. You start to kind of lose hope in things. What was a mental space like when you realized that? Like, where was it tough? Was it things that you just like, it is what it is? Like, what was the mental part of things there?
The crazy thing about it, the mental part was harder than the physical. Because the physical, you can, once it's over, it heals, you go on through it. But the mental, even now that my son is 9 years old, I still go through it. It doesn't go away. Even through therapy, you go through the process, but it's still hard because at the end of the day, you couldn't conceive the way you wanted to do or the way the body is supposed to. So we went through it. My husband and I went through it. It did put a lot on our marriage. We at the other side, but it's still part that does linger when it comes to infertility, and that's the part that people don't talk about. Is once you get your miracle baby, is it over? No, it's not over. The mental part still lingers on with you, and you just have to take it day by day.
Correct. I would actually mention that my wife, before we found, or not found, we didn't just find the child. Before we had our child, she had two miscarriages, and we speak about miscarriages. And I think people don't really see. Some people may not understand, right, what goes through the body when you miscarry a child. And it was kind of devastating to see my wife in that space. And
Mhm.
like you said, it's still something that we still talk about. It's still something that she still carries deep to her, to her heart. Can we talk about miscarriages as well? Like, what are those things that people you've encountered with those that have miscarriages, that either the mental part of things, the physical part of things? So those men or women that may not know anything, we could talk about that. What is a miscarriage, in words for others to know?
Miscarriage is one of the hardest thing. Like one of the hardest thing. It hurts when other people don't acknowledge your miscarriage as if, oh, you wasn't pregnant far enough, or you could always try again, or when people dismissed it, because it is a loss. Our body went through the whole pregnancy, regardless if it's for 2 weeks or a stillborn at 9 months. Our body went through it, and our body has to heal even afterward, as well as our mental state. We are reminded every year by some of the little things that, oh my gosh, this is back to school. I wonder how old my child would have been. Oh my gosh, this is a birthday. This would have been my child's birthday. It's an often reminder. And as the years go by, yes, it gets better, but I can't even say better is what it is. Because then you also feel guilty of moments when you do forget. So it is an ongoing process. It is hard. Your body mentally and physically go through it. And a loss is a loss, regardless of how many weeks or how many years. And we do need to change that stigma of, oh, just redo, just do, you can have another child. No, even
Yeah.
if no other child will replace that one.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate you even just talking on this. This is a very sensitive subject for people. They don't have a place or people that they can actually talk to. So for you to even just be on here and talking about it, I definitely appreciate it. Do you think it's just as hard for the man it is for the woman as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely. The downfall is men don't like to talk about it. That's the downfall. You guys are in that position that you feel like you need to be strong because
Mhm.
your wife is going through it physically. You're often the one that just holds the purse at the doctor's appointment, or just stay in the corner and just waiting for the doctor to acknowledge you, or you have to bear it, and you don't have that space sometimes to break down because you feel like, well, my wife is doing all the breaking down and I need to hold it strong for her. We both can't be down. And we do appreciate that. We really do. But even us as your partners, we also have to be mindful to, for a moment, put our stuff back. Like, okay, I know I'm going through it. Let me hold on to whatever grief I'm going through just for a second and truly ask my husband, are you okay? And do not accept, yes, I'm okay. How are you doing? No, are you really okay? Like, and I need to get more than one answer. I need a sentence. How are you really feeling? Because you guys bear it. And we don't want you to feel as if you didn't have a loss. You did. You just hold it different than we do. And we need to learn to acknowledge that. And I think every single one of us at some point fell short in that as wives.
Yeah.
But we do need to acknowledge, like, you guys had a loss just as bad as we did.
Yeah, and I just kind of share. I mean, because we're talking about it, and it's a story that I've encountered. I think the saddest part, honestly, was the OBGYN that we went to.
Mhm.
The way that he dealt with it was almost like it was nothing. And that, I think, was till to this day, I would never forget how he just kind of went up, about the situation. We were in the room. This is the first miscarriage. We were in the room, and he just pretty much says, well, it's a miscarriage, go ahead and clean yourself up, we'll give you a pill. And he just walked away. And here's my wife pouring down crying because it's something that she really wanted her whole life. She, just like you, wanted to be a mom. That's just something, it's almost that goal in life for her. And she realized that she couldn't have conceived at that moment. And we were just left in that room just to kind of deal with it. And it was luckily the his assistant, as we were walking out, she literally kind of ran, after us and just kind of gave us a hug and said, I'm so sorry. And I think people, like you said, people don't realize it, and people take it like it's just whatever about it. But here I am having to watch my wife in the room completely almost not even want to talk to me, like kind of don't even touch me type thing, because she just felt some type of way, with her body. And just to see the pain she had to go through, not just in the body, but like you said, mentally and physically, the pain she had to go through. So I'm so happy, and I'm almost kind of giving a little teary eye here because I go back. We had two miscarriages, and it was probably only 2-3 years ago that this happened, and I never thought I would have this conversation here live, and here you are, got making me emotional or something. But
Yes.
it's a good topic. What kind of advice do you give people? I mean, you kind of being in the space of starting a nonprofit and being comfortable to talk to women about this conversation. What advice do you give women and men, because they both need it? What kind of advice do you give individuals that may encounter both, infertility as well as miscarriages?
Acknowledge your pain. Don't be strong for other people. Because we often, when people ask you, are you okay? We say, yes, I'm good. I'm good, when we know we're not. And we're helping other people feel better about our situation while denying how we feeling. We're doing ourselves a disservice. If you're not okay, just say not today. We're taking it day by day. But when we say, I'm okay, we're just making the other person feel better while we're suffering. And it is a disservice that um, you're not the first to tell me that a doctor treated you this way. You're not the first, and it's sad because for them it happens so often that you're just another number. And I have to go back, and probably somebody else, I have to bear the bad news. Oh, you're having a miscarriage. And the disconnect of you being a human being has got lost in translation. So oftentimes we do have to check our doctors and like, hey, you didn't do this right. And I'm happy that at least the assistant was able to realize that, because oftentimes, when the head of the snake is not great, the
Mhm.
tail is just as bad. So I'm happy that at least the assistant was able to acknowledge their pain. But it is sad when we count on our medical professionals to give us that moment and they just don't.
Yeah, and I would also say it was a man doctor. Maybe that's why he felt that he didn't care as much.
Mhm.
But it was somebody that was practicing for years, and was a nice guy. But when that happened, everything went out the window. When
Which
I
is
thought he was a nice guy and I was complimenting his bow ties and all these good things, when that moment happened,
mhm.
it was like, are you serious? Like, you just kind of left us here almost like we were trash, I would say, in a
Mhm.
sense. So man, I'm this is a tough subject, I mean, to talk about. As definitely, do is this something that you always wanted to do, or this come from understanding your body and how you weren't able to conceive?
You know what? I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's been easy. There's no way, because I'll be lying to you. It has not been easy. But I understand that it's just an assignment that I have to do. I unfortunately was almost like the test dummy. I had to physically go through it myself to fully understand and realize that I didn't have the services that I needed. I didn't have that doctor that gave me all the information so I can fully understand and grasp what the hell is going on with my body.
Hmm.
I didn't have the support system. My family, I'm the first in my family to go through infertility treatment. I don't have that. Once I found out I had a miscarriage, that's when other people in my family said, "Oh, that happened to me." No one told me prior to that I couldn't lean on to someone. And I don't want anyone else to have to go through that, because sometimes we lean on people that fully don't understand. They're our allies, they want to support, but unfortunately, they could only support for so much. Like, I understand, but I don't fully understand. And this is where the nonprofit comes in. If I'm not able to connect with you, we'll find someone to connect with you. We don't want to leave you hanging. We want to be that support that truly understand, not that surface level. Oh, I'm here for you, sis. I'm here for you, bro. No, we want to hold your hand, even if it's virtually, to let you know I really understand the ins and outs. Hey, I may even tell you, hey, this is what you need to ask your doctor, and you would never even know. So we're there to support because we understand.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. What is some of the like things you were able to learn through the process that you feel you're able to give others through this time?
Advocate for yourself. A lot of us believe because a doctor has a white coat that they know it all. We put all our power and strength, like, yes, this is what they telling me, this is what I should do. But they don't live in your body. They don't live in your body. They don't know what's going on. Yes, they have the textbook and maybe they went through it personally, but they're not you. And if you feel some way, advocate for yourself. Keep pushing. And if a doctor is not listening to you, find someone who will. And sadly, you may have to go through a couple of them in order to find the good one sometime, but keep pushing because you're worth it.
Mm,
You're worth it. Keep
mm,
looking and don't give up. I have this word that I often say that if you can't find your doctor, don't leave your doctor, divorce your doctor. Divorce. And that means when you go through a divorce, you're going through paperwork, you're going through information, the what is good, what is bad. Get all of your records. Get all of your records, every documentation that you ever had at that location, and divorce them. That way you never have to see them again. You done? You never have to call them and like, oh, I need my record. No, I have a copy of it because I divorced you.
Oh man, not for sure. No, definitely. I mean, there's those that literally take their job seriously. There's those that stay up to date with the information. There's those that truly care about people and not just doing it just because, maybe the and I've seen that it's a lot of times where people just do it because it was kind of ran in the family, right? Okay, my mom did this, dad did this, so I'm kind of doing it. And that's where they're doing it versus someone that has really a passion
Yeah.
to do it and to help. And it seems like you're kind of that individual that has a passion for it. Like, this is what I want my life to be. I want to be able to instill into others that have been able to experience the same thing. So they're not left alone. And I think that's the biggest part, is that people are left alone during these times. When you talk about, kind of go back, when you spoke about your family, what are some of the things that you kind of had to maybe deal with friends and family during that time? Like, do you feel like there was some support? Or do you feel like there was friends that maybe just kind of, you know, did not see it in the same way that you've seen it? Did you have to leave friends? What are some of the things that you've experienced during that tough time in your life?
I had to learn when my friends serve me. They may not be able to help me every single time, but there's sometimes that I can lean on them. Or maybe I'm having a day and I just need a laugh. I don't want to think about this. I just really just want laughter. And I can lean on this particular friend and or that particular friend. My family, they may not be able to help me financially, but maybe this I'm having such a bad day that I can't even get up and cook. So they help me with a meal. So they all serve their purpose. It's all it's all what you need at that time. And this is when you have to be real with yourself and let them know I'm not having a good day. Because now they can move accordingly. But until we tell ourselves that, they're just moving and they're serving us without the way we need them to. So now that's when we say, oh, my family is not supportive. They don't know how to because we never told them how to. And it's almost like it's not fair. They don't know. And I was pissed in the beginning, like my family not doing this, like they're not doing that. But how could they if they really don't know how to? And we do them the disservice by not telling them this is what I need right now. So my family members, I apologize for those years. But now looking at the end, it's like I never told them today I just want to be left alone. I just want to be left alone. But they're constantly called, hey, let's go out. That's not what I needed. But I never expressed that to them at that time. So be true to yourself and allow them to help you when you need help. And don't expect everyone to fully understand. Sometimes they just going to be present, be in your life and not say a word. And sometimes that's all you need.
Mm, it's good stuff, man. This is good stuff. Um, what's your background? Were you always an entrepreneur, or was this something that came new to you? Entrepreneurship in the nonprofit world.
I always had the entrepreneur spirit. I was the one when you're in elementary, when they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to own my own business. Like, I don't know what I was going to do, what it is. I know that's what I wanted. I like the freedom that it offers, even when it is the hardest job in the world. You're up late most of the time and doing those last minute things, but I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for someone else to go on vacation and enjoy life with their family. I'm doing it for me, better my community, better my family. And if we want to go on vacation, we can go on vacation. So I enjoy being an entrepreneur. I've had several businesses prior to this, and I love it. I love it. Even when I go to work with a company, I'm still doing it in an entrepreneur spirit. It's not my company, but I'm going to run it as if it's mine
Yeah.
because I understand how that what that
Sometimes you get upset because you trying to like tell them, hey, this is what you need to be doing, but they don't listen. Like,
listen.
do you not hear me? So no, I definitely understand that aspect of stuff. So you really just called this upon your life as a young child, and that's really important as well. That this is something that you just called upon yourself, and maybe not really knowing in what way you were going to be an entrepreneur, but here you are running a nonprofit. Was a nonprofit aspect something that just kind of came through the trauma and the hurt? That's why you created the nonprofit, or did you always have a goal in a sense of wanting to help people before, and this just happens to be the way that you're helping individuals?
I always had a sense of helping. Prior, one of my first business I did, I was an event planner. I was an event planner for about 13 years, and 10 of that was by myself. So even when I was doing weddings was my specialty. Even when I was doing weddings, I was there like, let's find ways to save you money because marriage is going to be hard. You're going to pay all this money on flowers that's going to die. You
Yes.
can spend this money. I'd rather you spend on your honeymoon, get a house. Like that was me. And I found that instead of trying to make more money for me, I'm like trying to save you more money for your marriage. So that was always me in that sense. But even prior to, well, after being a wedding planner, I got pregnant from my infertility, and I had to learn how to be a mom. I do have a stepdaughter, which she was the one that actually taught me how to be a mom. So I had to learn that. And parenting doesn't have a blue book, and no one tells you what to really do. Every kid is different. Every situation is different. And from then I had to teach my son and my daughter how to read, how to write, I had to do that. So even before the infertility, I started a platform called Parenting Plug, which is just parents becoming their first teachers. And I still do it to this day. I coach. Even when I don't want to coach, I still have old people that I've coached back, and they're like, I need you. I'm like, no, I'm focused on the nonprofit, but I still bring them back just because they're old clients, and I love it. And now, as the nonprofit grows, that parenting plug will still be an aspect for those infertility parents.
I love it.
So it's there. Entrepreneur is something that I love, and I believe everyone should have something that they do for themselves.
Yeah, love it. If you
Mhm.
guys missed it, she said parenting plug. You can follow her, and you guys see that down, scrolling down at the bottom of the screen where it says parenting plug down here. You guys will see it. And then, when it comes to the website, if you guys want to know some information, this is where you're able to also see fillingemptywombs.org. And I'm guessing the name just really comes from the experience that you're having. That's an amazing, amazing name. Um, what do you plan to take this? Is this something that you want to do nationally? Is this something that you're trying to, partner up with other existing corporations that are already around? What is the goal with filling empty wombs?
All of the above. All of the above. I don't want to cap it. But my main goal is to be able to fund couples with infertility treatment funding, to let them know, hey, I know infertility treatment is hella expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. And depending on the state that you live in, insurance does not cover. So I've never wanted to spend money as much as I want to spend money right now. To be able to give a couple a check or set the clinic that they're doing their treatment, like, hey, we're going to pay for your treatment, or we're going to pay for a portion of your treatment. And that is my goal, to be able to do that. I can't wait for the day. I really can't wait for the day. So, and we are building to get that, but in the process, we create a lot of informational stuff to just provide social media lives, to just being able to give them information. How does your period affects your treatment? PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis. How do we handle those things, or how does that look like? in order to prevent infertility. So we do a lot of informational stuff. Matter of fact, I have the end of the year, I have starting November 12th, we have a Zoom that we're going to do with one of our doctors here in South Florida that's going to help understand and facilitate how do we better understand our bodies. So we're going to provide as much information as we can because I didn't have that. I had to find it myself when I was doing my treatment. Facebook was just coming around. Well, Facebook was around, but Facebook group wasn't around. Information on YouTube wasn't around like that. So I was left with my own information. And we want to be able to give that, the accessibility to information, and not just from your doctor, but
And
from peer to peer.
and here you are, right? You're adding to the YouTube, you're adding to the Facebook, you're having the conversations that people are not going to have or afraid to have. And I'm so happy that you're actually willing to have this conversation so open like this, so that people can actually learn from and what you've done. Now, you spoke about we. Is this that you and your husband are doing this together?
My husband comes on every so often. He does. In the beginning, he did not want to talk. He was like, "No, I'm not getting on anybody's stage, any camera, in order to talk about it." But he had a small dose of it a couple of times, and he fell in love with the connection that he can have with other men about infertility. Because of course, men don't speak about it, but when
Hmm.
they see someone that looks like them and someone that's like to them that you're brave enough to talk about it, they start opening up. So I love when my husband come in the journey with me and hop on here and just chat about it, because years ago he would not
Yeah.
you would not see him, but now he actually enjoys it. He loves it, and he makes the connections that I, as the wife, would never be able to, because I can only speak in the man's perspective, in the woman's view.
Point of view.
Not,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, not in that direct male testosterone view. So, and I love when he does it.
That's what's up. Yeah, no, that's dope. I was asking. You say we, and I want to make sure your husband is in there, man, because there's men that need to have that conversation.
They do.
Because, like you said, it's men of color that are afraid to have that conversation as well. And if somebody can look at somebody that looks just like them and
Yeah.
understand they're not alone, and that someone it's always hard for men to kind of open up and really anything, right? Where it's just so strong. We have this macho mentality, so for him to do that, hats off to him, and I'm pretty sure he's watching. So hats off to you.
Hey,
Um, you say you're located in South Florida,
I am. I am.
but you're willing to assist whoever may need some assistance. When
Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing about infertility, it doesn't care who you are, your background, your region, it doesn't matter. So, as South Florida, this is just where I live. We do a lot of virtual things. And of course, I want to do, of course, a lot of local stuff here because it is my home, but it doesn't matter. We will assist however we can outside of Florida.
And for those that are listening, is your website already set up for any donations or things like that, for information that they can possibly just find out more about what it is that you're doing and how to partner up?
Yes, fillingemptywounds.org. Definitely, you'll be able to donate there, get some information there as well, and follow us on Filling Empty Wounds on Instagram and Facebook. You'll get more information, instant information there as well, and donation even there.
Yeah. Perfect. Look, we'll put them up. We got set up earlier. You got the Instagram filling empty wounds. So if you guys want to go ahead and make sure you guys check out her Instagram, just share the information. This is the information that she's willing to put out there, that she's dealt with, and she's learned, and she's educated herself through this time that she couldn't conceive, and she just wants people not to feel alone. So make sure that you guys are checking out that Instagram, as well as going into fillingemptywombs.org to figure out how you can donate and make a difference in somebody's life. I'm just so honored that you're even on here talking about this conversation, because it's something that I don't think I've ever heard anybody have the conversation. And like you said, usually you don't know somebody has an issue until you kind of go through it and somebody says, "Oh, I can relate."
Yeah.
Right. But even then, they may not go into detail the way that you're going into detail and the way that you're willing to help. So definitely an honor for those women, for those men that may be encountering this, that you guys have resources here that you guys can go to. Make sure that you message her if you have any questions. Possibly, I'm pretty sure she's willing to, assist in that as well. So pretty much right here, filling empty wombs. You can do it on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, if you want to go to the website, go to the website. And you said there's also a Facebook. Is that correct?
Yes, we're on Facebook, same name. We're on Twitter, filling empty womb because character on Twitter,
Yeah.
um, womb without the S. But you can just Google us, and we'll be able to help as much as we can. And if we aren't able to, I was a little disappointed a couple of weeks ago. I had someone that sent out message that wanted to see if we can help them with their funding. And I was sad because we're not there yet. So we need your donation so we do
Yeah.
not tell people no, we can help. But of course, I was able to send her to other resources that does something similar to us and hope that she connects with them to be able to see
See,
if she can help.
look, even that she's not greedy. She said, "Listen, if I can't help, I'm gonna find you the help. All right, I'm not gonna leave you alone." So I'm appreciate it. Is this what you're doing full time nowadays?
That's the goal. I do it full time. Once in a blue, I do substitute at the local school just to keep my parenting plug stuff on check to make sure I know what's happening in the school system. But that's the goal. 100% full time. The goal is to have a full employees to dedicate to every need of infertility, partner with other organization that's doing the same thing that we're, or maybe have small entities that, food related, um, acupuncture, OBGYNs, fertility doctors, even regular us here having this conversation, that we can bring that message to the world across. So
Yeah.
I'm always open to partner with others as long as we do not take my infertility people for granted
Yeah.
because they are very vulnerable. And I am always like hesitant when people are trying to sell them things
Yeah.
because we're so vulnerable. So I'm always like that mama bear when it
Yeah.
comes to
You
that.
got to. I mean, like you said, people are not educated on it. If they're not educated, they can make the wrong decisions. You're
Mhm.
willing to ask the questions. You're willing to wait the time that was needed. So definitely, if you feel unsure, find someone that may have encountered the same situation and kind of went through those steps that they can guide you to the right doctor. We spoke about doctors that are not really willing to assist. So if you unsure about the doctor, making sure that you're asking around to figure out if somebody can kind of direct you to a doctor that may really just work on that type of infertility and miscarriages. We spoke about doctors earlier that may not really care about it. So it is very important that you find somebody that is caring and wants to help in that sense. Is there anything, we talk about the young women, is there anything that maybe they should be aware of at a young age that they should reach out to or find some resources if needed?
For the young women, this is a little harder because of your age. There's a lot of things that they cannot do, doctors can't do because you're younger. So one of the programs that we are in the process of creating is called YPE, Youth Period Education, only because we want to target the youth to get those early information. That way, once they're older, we minimize the rate for infertility and miscarriages, and even cancer. You'd be surprised how those early menstrual and the medication that we take could even affect cancer in the long run. So we want to educate about period health, what PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, what that is, and how to seek treatment, and even some things that a doctor may push that may be necessary but not necessary at the same time. One of the things is something as simple as birth control. So we're often just prescribed birth control, just have birth control. But honestly, you should have birth control for what it's called, birth control. And yes, it's great for other medication. It's great for that. It's great for controlling your PCOS, regulating your PCOS. It's great for the pain management for endometriosis. But those medications are not there to be used for long term. They're bandages and your body tells you there's something wrong, and taking those medication, your body tells you everything is fine when everything is not, because it blocks the pain, it blocks the feel good parts of the painful parts of your body. And we need to be mindful about that. If you want to take it to take breaks, that's fine, but you shouldn't be there on birth control for years.
That's
It does,
good information. Yeah.
it does have adverse effect, and we want to find the source, not block the pain. We need to find the source.
I love it. Yeah, I think our young girls have to understand that, right? And because I've experienced that usually women do that for years. I didn't know that, so that's some good information for you young girls that are watching. And you are on birth control. Just taking this in consideration because you can help yourself now versus waiting years down the line to then try to figure out how am I supposed to help myself out of these situations. So
Yeah.
good. That's good information to share. What will you tell young women that may be watching about this situation when it comes to that maybe they have to experience this? What kind of advice do you provide somebody if somebody's coming to you now and saying that this is they just had a miscarriage or they just had infertility? When it comes to the mind and the body, what can you provide to them advice?
One of the things that in the beginning of my journey, I used to say, now I'm looking at, I'm like, you are a hypocrite, is therapy. I would tell people, you need to have therapists. You need to have a therapy session. And I wasn't doing it myself. I know the benefit, but I wasn't doing it. But it's not until when I had my miscarriage 2 years ago when I'm like, oh no, this can't be life. Like this can't be. I couldn't function, the brain fogs, the sadness, the crying at a drop of a dime. And I'm like, no, Sandra, you tell people to find a therapist all the time. Why are you not doing it? And I did just that. I looked for a therapist, and man, I love it. I love going to my therapy session. When she's like, could we reschedule? I get upset, like, no, I need it. Um, because it really, really helped. And infertility as well as miscarriage, we need it. It is a lot, and oftentimes it carries over even after baby. It carries into your marriage. It carries how you parent, how you help others. So it is a number on you, and it's not just a time moment thing. It's an ongoing. So therapy, please, 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 it should be just as important as you getting your regular doctor's
So
appointment.
you said that it took you some time. Were you against therapy? Is it something that you just never thought you would need or something that you cared for? Because I think a lot of times, especially nowadays, I think a lot more people are doing therapy and
Mhm.
seeking a therapist.
I love
But
it.
at some point, it was something that people kind of did not want to do. They turned away from it and they felt like they don't want nobody in their business. So is this something that you just kind of always accepted a therapist, just felt like maybe you didn't need it, or what was your mind space before taking therapy? So people can know that we all may have an idea of what it looks like back then, or our parents may have told us something, or we hear things from it. But because I've been to therapy as well, and to know that it truly did help me, not in the sense of they're telling you about yourself, but they're asking you questions that make you really think differently.
Yes.
And I'm just sitting there and like, wow, why didn't I think of that before, or think in that way? So what was
Mhm.
your belief in therapy back then, and what is it now?
I'm from the island. I was born in Haiti. I grew up here in South Florida. That's not something we did. That was not something that was not a normal conversation. Like, who's a therapist? Like, who? We didn't do that. But it's not like there was a true stigma for me, even though there is a stigma of being in the Caribbean community. But I was okay, always okay with it. To me, talking to my friends and letting things out was my form of therapy, and being part of the infertility community and me sharing my story early on to the world was my therapy session. So for me, I didn't need a therapist because I was having normal session with random strangers
Mhm.
about my life. But it's not until when I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. I don't even know how to speak to people right now because I'm so hurt that I had to put myself step back because hurt people hurt people.
Mhm.
And I did not want to hurt others because I was so mad at God. I was so pissed that all this, I had a miscarriage. I was mad. So I couldn't go on and have these conversations because I didn't want to say something that was going to destroy someone else. So that's when I'm like, no, I can't do this on my own. I didn't have the ability to speak the way I wanted to speak. So I got therapy sessions. And that made me not only say what I had to say, but I was hearing myself saying it. And then those questions that make you dig deeper. And that truly, truly helped. And to this day, I still have my therapy session. Matter of fact, my whole family now see therapy and we all love it. We all love
Love
it.
it. Yeah, I think it's important that people do. There's so many things that we like to sweep under the rug, and I mean, I'm just like you. I thought, because of my story, I can just tell the story, and it does make you feel good about it.
Mhm.
But while you're pouring, and I always look at this as you're pouring into somebody else, sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves, and that's
Yeah.
just a form of taking care of yourself. And don't think that somebody's in your business, or if you have a stigma of you've heard some things, at least try it once. I went there the first time and I'm like, oh, this feels so good, but I was so scared because of the things that you hear about it. So
Mhm.
you hear two people here, and you see two people here that have gone through therapy and speak positive on it. So you feel like no matter what age, if you feel that you need to speak to somebody and this your whole life, you kind of felt unheard, maybe it is time for you to kind of seek a therapist. And I'm not saying all therapists are good either. All right, like we said, find you a good doctor. You got to find you a good therapist. All right,
Yep.
because I've also had the opportunity to have not as a good, not a such
Mhm.
good therapist. But when I found one that was just like, wow, you made this easy.
Mhm.
And they're out there, but you just got to go continue to find one. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I believe we can continue to have a conversation for the rest of the night if we wanted to. However, I do know that is time. You got your mom, as well as an entrepreneur, as so and that's what I love. And when I talk to women, especially, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, and seeing what she does, and to look at someone like yourself that is like, listen, I take care of my kids, but I'm also taking care of people while taking care of myself, while taking care of my husband, because he also, you got to take care of the husband too.
I don't
I
think you have
take
enough. That's a full-time job.
but I
You
love
guys
it.
are needy.
Yeah, facts. But I mean, before we leave, the question I always ask people on Know Your Worth TV: what was that Know Your Worth moment that allowed you? And I kind of know it, but I just just want you to say it. What was that Know Your Worth moment that allowed you to know that this is what I'll be doing for the rest of my life? That brings you peace and it brings you happiness.
Purpose. It's literally purpose. I, me and God, I'm a believer, and me and God wrestle. Like we wrestle. Like if he could physically be here, me and him would have been fist fighting. Um, we wrestle, and I got to moments I'm like, there's no way that he can be this cruel to force me to go through this, and there's no reason behind it. Like there's no way. So for me, I knew it had to be a reason. Like it had to be a reason. There was no other way. So my pain wasn't just for me. It was not just for me. It was for every little girl, every husband that has to hold their wife, every woman that had to go through a miscarriage. It was for me to fully understand the whole picture. And that gave me purpose. So that's the reason
Mm.
I can be up and talk about the my story and being the upbeat part of it without having to cry. I've had some moments when I cry on interviews. Believe me, you can search for them and you'll find a couple. But to know that there was a reason behind me going through all that foolishness allowed me to sleep better at night. And when I get to hear that one person send me a message and like I would never talk about my infertility. And now they're going on lives on their social platform talking about their infertility, talking about their miscarriage, and seeing there's that weight coming off their shoulder and they're connecting with others. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I often say you may have an audience of one or you may have an audience of many. Just know that one may be more important than having the audience of 50,000 people.
I love it. You couldn't have said any better. Absolutely, I believe it just like that. When you share your story, you don't know who you touch, and you don't know who's going to be watching. Whether it's now, we're planting a seed for somebody years from now, right? Especially now with social media, being able to just
Mhm.
live on
Yep.
the internet, and someone can just kind of put in infertility, and you pop up, and here you are sharing your story. So absolutely, I definitely thank you for your time. Thank you to the Content Creators Experience for this collaboration, for allowing us to do this here as well. But is there anything that what can we find you? Is there anything you want to leave the people with as we depart here?
Definitely leave you with love yourself. Definitely love yourself. Put your feeling and your emotional um, woes first before we make others feel comfortable about our journey. Be truthful. If they say, how's your infertility or why you're not pregnant, let them know versus us just sparing them and like everything's okay. No, let them know I'm having a hard time getting pregnant. I bet you they'll leave you alone. I bet you they'll leave you alone. Now they have that awkward moment like, what did my sister say? Leave you alone. But take care of yourself. This is a long journey. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to say it's going to be um, sprinkles and rainbows. No, it's going to be hard. There's going to be many times that you are cussing at the world, but allow yourself the freedom to do that. Don't hold it back. If you have to lock in yourself in the closet and cry, give yourself that moment. Do not take that away from you because that's part of the process. And the longer it takes for you to not, the longer it takes for you not to go through that stage, the longer you're going to be suffering in the pain. So if you have to cry, cry. If you have to punch a wall, make sure it's a wall that's not a brick.
And
But
that you're willing to fix too. You got to fix it after
yes,
you put.
but just what you need to do in order to help you heal through the process. And if you're having a difficult time, even when it's good, please lean on us. We'll be more than happy to hold your hand, even if it's virtually. Please reach out. I do not bite. I help. I understand. So we are here for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And for you guys that are watching and you guys want to know where to get some more information, down at the bottom, you'll see her website, fillingemptywombs.org. That's just one of the platforms that you can find her. You can also find her here at Instagram, Filling Empty Wombs. If you're on Twitter, it is Filling Empty Womb without the S, because you know how Twitter like to act. So make sure that you guys are checking in. You can follow her personal Instagram as well. You guys see right here, you guys see under her name, but you can also see it scrolling down at the bottom. But don't forget, she also has one more parenting plug. All right. So make sure you guys also check out Parenting Plug to find some more. What are we finding at Parenting Plug? I don't know if we've actually touched base on that.
Parenting Plug, you'll find tips and information on how to educate your child, how to
Nice.
create those intimate moments, those thought provoking moments to be your child's not friend, but be your connection. Be there for your child because we know each child is different, each moment is different. Let's create that long lasting connection with our children that later on they become your best friend. Not right now, but later on they become your best friends because they like mom. I get it. I get it. So
Perfect.
we are our children's first
Is
teachers.
needed. Is needed. I mean, I appreciate you creating resources at all different levels for parents. So that's amazing. Sandra, it has been a pleasure. I thank you so much for being part of this with me here, for allowing me to, kind of dig deep into the story, for just allowing us to hear your story. I think it's the most important. Some people, like you said, do not share the story. For you to be here, brave enough to come on here and talk about it, brave enough to start a whole nonprofit around it, it's amazing. So I thank you so much, guys. It has been a pleasure. My name is Ephraim. Make sure that you guys tap in. You guys can watch more dope videos throughout again the month of November. We'll be also highlighting one woman here on Know Your Worth TV. So make sure you go ahead, subscribe, that you like, and you turn on the notification bell. Because without that, how do you know that I'm live? Guys, I'll see you next time.